now. Good evening and welcome to another edition of the old Git Gooners podcast. And after our last edition, we've only had one Arsenal match and we will reflect on that. But part of the reason I have such a mature and reasoned panel is because we don't want anything too extreme here, flying off the handle, smack Arteta, etc. But just to briefly introduce my guests, all of whom have graced this particular podcast in the past. And I will start with the one who's been on the most, which is Charlie Ashmore, who is a regular Gooner contributor, past and present, and has quite an extensive CD collection, as you may observe.
Good evening.
Good evening, Charlie. And next up is a gentleman who I thought, we're talking about the League Cup a bit tonight. Let's make sure there's someone on who is aware of them all, because it's a traumatic history and we need to have a bit of catharsis here. So this gentleman was very much a conscious and thinking football follower in 1968 and has been ever since. And he used to proof for me on the Gooner, as well as contributing the occasional article. So it's a warm welcome to Tony Porter. Say hello, Tony, so people know your voice.
Oh, yeah, yes. Hello. Right. Thanks for the introduction.
Don't worry. And finally, last but not least, an old pal of mine. Never wrote for the Gooner, but bought it a few times, and that's good enough for me. And he is famous to certain of us as the lead singer of an 80s indie band of reputation and ill repute as well. And I've heard a story that Serious Drinking, the band in question, were requested to reform so they could play the opening ceremony of the World Cup 2026, with a lot of your material being about football. Martin, what happened? Why did you turn it down?
We couldn't get visas.
That's the one. I was waiting for that one. So that is Mr. Martin Ling, our third and final.
Donald listened to the CD.
Indeed. Anyway, I've actually had a look at those World Cup kickoff times. I think I'm going to be waking up in the morning and watching them on iPlayer or ITVX, because frankly, I can't do 2 in the morning anymore. I'm just too damn old. But anyway, let us return to Arsenal matters. Of course, the game that has been played since we last gathered on this podcast was the Carabao Cup final, and plenty to say about it. But the first thing is, do we have to give a bit of credit to the opposition manager? And I'm going to go to Charlie to open the views on that one.
100%. I mean, it was... So I was sat in the front row upstairs behind the goal with my daughter Izzy, and halfway through the first half, I turned to her and I said, "Look, no one's done this against us before, but what he's done is brilliant, because I don't know whether he'd have done it if Raya was playing, but because Kepa was playing, and he's probably not, well, he isn't as confident with his feet as Raya is. Nobody is." Just that sitting there in that line, almost like they were, they were like a table football team, and Guardiola was pulling them from side to side. They were just blocking off all the passing lanes, but not pressing at all. And Kepa didn't have the confidence to try and pass through the gaps. And his long balls were nowhere near as accurate as Raya's would have been. And at a stroke, basically, we were suffocated without them really having to put any pressure on us. So we absolutely have to give him credit. As I say, I don't know if he'd have done it if Raya had been playing. I suspect he might not, because I think Raya would have had the confidence to play the ball through the gaps, whereas Kepa clearly didn't. And our midfield possibly didn't adjust quickly enough, or indeed at all, to what was going on. But no, I think two reasons we lost. One was the way City played. The other was, you can't hide it, the mistake that Kepa made, which basically gifted them the first goal. It's not entirely his fault. I think three other mistakes were made in the build-up to the goal, but everyone always focuses on the goalkeeper because he's the last man standing, as it were. And once that first goal had gone in, we just never looked like getting it back.
Okay. Martin, Gabriel and Saliba probably had more touches along with Kepa than any other Arsenal players on the day. Could they have done more? I mean, can you blame the centre backs, because they were the ones who had the ball at their feet, and in theory could have done something with it, which they tended not to because we played so many long balls in the end.
Yeah, I think my take on it from where I was sitting was, I think Pep did get that right in terms of the suffocation of the playing out. Although I thought we rode it quite well in the first half, and I thought it was reasonably even. The moment the game changed for me actually was the foul outside the box, and the booking. And from where I was sitting, the noise in the stadium from the other end, who were trying to get the red card out of the referee, on so on and so forth. And the next 10 minutes that happened, that killed the game for me. City were roared on by their fans. The Arsenal fans went completely silent. We didn't put a word in edgeways because the team came nowhere near us. I haven't been in the stadium that divided by noise for a very, very long time. It's almost 50-50 between the two sets of supporters. And the roar coming out from the other end when City were encamped in our half for that first 15, 20 minutes was incredible. I thought the team rode it okay for a little while, but the booking, which obviously hits confidence, and there was those excruciating moments where he just couldn't play out of defence. And then the second goal completely killed the game. And that was it, really, wasn't it? There was nothing left in Arsenal's tank at all. And I also think hearing that Eze wasn't playing before half an hour or so before kickoff as well, you could feel in the stands. Actually, I thought that people were scared at that point, really, that we weren't going to have any creativity in it. And Havertz was pretty slow again, like he was in the previous match where he started. He didn't really add much to anything, so it felt like we were playing with 10-minute times.
Tony, I mean, were you optimistic, or I mean, did you kind of expect what happened?
I wasn't there. I was on a sofa watching on television, so I respect the comments made by people who actually were there. I thought that there was quite a bit of roughing up of Saka early on, which is nothing to do with special tactics, but only an unpleasant approach. I mean, it seemed to finish Saka off. And the referee, of course, took no interest in his being fouled 2-3 times. That killed a part of the game for us, for me. Am I right in thinking that Guardiola employed basically the same tactics against Real Madrid on the Wednesday, who beat City 3-0 and made O'Reilly look a very poor player?
Well, I didn't
scored a hat-trick, didn't he?
To be honest. The other
No
guy,
idea. Didn't watch it.
No, I didn't see it, no.
I think if you do watch it, you might be quite interested. It seemed to me, because I made a point of looking it up, that he was doing precisely the same thing in Madrid, holding off them. I mean, their goalkeeper was more, you're right to say, keeper is not as confident with his feet, but it wasn't only their goalkeeper. Other players lobbed the ball over the stationary four and got on with it. The other thing that also surprised me from our point of view was that the manager didn't take Hincapié off at half-time. I mean, he'd been booked, hadn't he? And he was obviously very unwilling to go close up on a danger man. I would have, if I'd have been manager, I would have taken him off at half-time. We have very competent replacements.
Okay, well, I mean, let's face it, Arteta presumably tweaked the game plan not too long into the first half, and yet we didn't really do anything different. Now, is that a sign that perhaps Arteta is a little bit too inflexible and not creative or imaginative enough as a manager? Or was it just one of those days when on another day we might have won that game 1-0 because City didn't score and the tactics were justified?
That's something else we could say as well, isn't it? If we had a very good chance to go 1-0 up early on in the game, if we'd done that, the whole thing might well have been different, mightn't it? Because they wouldn't have then been able just to sit there. They'd have had to have tried. The complexion would have been changed. We should have scored. Okay, the goalkeeper did well, but he shouldn't. That shouldn't have stopped us from scoring.
I was surprised that all three shots we took were basically along the ground, which made it easy for the keeper. I mean, you'd think this. I mean, I think back to the goal that Buendia scored against us at Villa Park. You know, in amongst all the carnage, he had the presence of mind to do the one thing he had to do, which was lift the ball into the top corner.
Right.
And none of our players had the presence of mind to do that. You just had to lift it over the keeper. Havertz, you can forgive. That was the first shot. It was a good save. But the second and the third shots really ought to be lifted. Yeah.
No,
and you're right. If that had gone in, different game, potentially a different outcome. But that was pretty much it, wasn't it? In terms of
I mean, you can't take away from the fact that every City player played man for man, played better than us.
That is fair comment. Yeah.
I mean, our passing in the second half was absolutely atrocious. As I say, that feeling of where I was sitting, that we just never got the ball into our half. The first 30 minutes of the second half, it felt like, and around us, people weren't particularly angry. They were just totally bewildered. People just looking at each other going,
and resignation.
Yeah, people just looking at each other going, "What is this team?" Because I think we'd played so competently against Leverkusen and been in control of that game. The passing had been crisp. They never really threatened. And I think we all went into that. I went to the final with a degree of confidence off the back of that performance and the fact that City had been hammered by Real Madrid twice and only managed to squeeze a draw at West Ham. I thought, we're the team with our tails up on this one. And we couldn't believe what was happening where I was sitting. It was a rude awakening.
I do wonder how much the Real Madrid result actually sort of played into it a little bit, in the sense that after the Real Madrid result, really, when you look at it, they're second favourites for the league. They've got a tough game in the FA Cup coming up. This was potentially their only real chance to win a trophy.
Yeah.
Whereas from a psychological point of view, it was probably the least important, albeit on the day very important, of our opportunities to potentially win trophies. I don't know, but was there an element of in the old parlance, them wanting it a bit more than us?
You could well be right. Very sad if you are. I'm sure you two paid a lot of money to go and watch that game, and you would have expected the team to put more effort into what they did. As you said, the second half was embarrassing until he made a change at last, and we looked a bit better. But of course, it was too late by then.
I was supposed to go back to Kevin's question about whether Arteta could have changed it. Part of the problem we had was, no Ødegaard, no Eze, no Merino, and I honestly think Merino's absence has almost gone unmentioned. But God, do we miss him? He brings us so much to the team. And Ødegaard, I mean, for all the noise around him, we need Ødegaard. He links things together so well, and we just don't have that. Even Eze is a completely different player to Ødegaard. Eze is a player of sort of magic moments, I suppose, whereas Ødegaard can knit a whole game together when he's playing well. So I'm not sure what options Arteta really had, to be honest, to make a significant change. And the other thing is, we just don't know how fit some of our players are. So, you talk about could he have brought Calafiori on at half time to replace Hincapié? I don't know if Calafiori was 100% fit. Maybe he didn't think he could risk him.
Maybe you're right. Yeah. Well, I don't know. No.
Well, he played 2 hours the other night against Bosnia.
Yeah.
Yes.
We certainly looked a better team when he was on the field.
Yes. I mean, I'll give you that because basically he plays in the centre better than Hincapié did, which made things more unpredictable.
But it does feed into this myth, doesn't it, of the curse of the League Cup.
Well, let's get on to that. Our FA Cup record is pretty damn good. I mean, we've won it more times than anybody else, so our record in finals is fairly healthy. Is it just a quirk? I mean, what is going on? It's now 2 wins out of 9 finals from memory. Tony, you've seen them all. Is there a gypsy curse on this? Is it the wrong time of the season for us? Maybe that's it.
The first one was forgivable, wasn't it? That's going back a long time. But yes, I remember.
60.
In the sort of build-up to the game, then I can remember a journalist saying there's a lot of positive feeling that it would be good for Arsenal to, it'd be nice for Arsenal to win. But of course, they never really had a chance. Leeds were an extremely good side. And losing 1-0 to them in a pretty awful game wasn't a disgrace. And then, of course, you get the next year with Swindon. Right. Extra.
We're still young. We don't have a trauma, but reputedly the pitch wasn't all that.
It was all the horses' fault.
Yes, that's right. Oh, the pitch was awful. And again, in its tiredness, you were talking about the fitness of players, and the Arsenal squad was not particularly fit. It wasn't playing so many games. It was a bug of some kind that was going round, and we really had to win it in normal time. Once it went into extra time on that pitch, then... And Swindon had a player called Rogers, Don Rogers, and he was the sort of player that can embarrass Arsenal. Shortish sort of guy, neat on the ball. And he just made our tiring defenders look sad. And then, of course...
There is about 10 minutes of it on YouTube, isn't there? I watched it recently. It's...
Why would you put yourself through that?
It was, of course, a goalkeeping error, which is another extraordinary thing.
Right.
There's Wilson and Ure in 1969. There's Chesney and Koscielny.
Oh, don't.
Right. Well, look, I'm going to stop that. All I'm going to do is fast forward past Luton, past the Chelsea, past the Birmingham. And I'm going to arrive at I hope I haven't missed any, but maybe I have. I'm talking about the defeats. Manchester City in 2018. It's an interesting contrast, really, because on one level, the performance was arguably of equal poor quality. But at least this team has something to play for. In 2018, what we were left with was the reality that Arsene was weeks away from being told he would not be remaining. So, although it was disappointing, there are grounds for optimism in the short term. And so on that level, I'm going to put this to you guys. Now, we've said that we think Man City might not have done this if Raya had started. But I'm also going to suggest this. Do you think other teams that are going to come and play Arsenal would have looked at that and thought, let's give that a go as a tactic and see how it works. Do you foresee that happening?
Inevitably. I mean, tactics develop through what works. Managers watch other teams, they see what works, and they look at whether they can try it themselves. Now, it'll depend on the personnel available to the team, and whichever team it might be. But I wouldn't be surprised if teams try it. But I do think who we've got in our team will be a relevant factor to that, because I don't think it's a tactic that will work as well if Raya's in goal. I don't necessarily think it's a tactic that will work as well with perhaps different players in our midfield or additional players in our midfield. I mean, Ødegaard's, although he plays kind of further forward than Rice and Zubimendi, he's well used to going back to pick the ball up quite deep, and he won't be. He'll join Rice and Zubimendi in giving the keeper or the defender options for maybe a chip over the top or a pass through one of the gaps. And Raya will take that on. Raya will have a go. We know Raya will take risks because he's confident in his own ability. So I think teams will look at it and will certainly contemplate it. Whether they'll try it, I think it required a lot of discipline from City's players to hold the line and to kind of, as I said earlier, it was a bit like watching a table of football. They literally moved across in unison. Not every team's got players capable of that level of discipline, and it takes a certain amount of skill as well.
Yep. Okay. I mean, do we think Man City will do exactly the same on April the 19th, for example?
That's interesting because they've got to win the game, haven't they?
Yeah.
From their point of view, they've got to win the game. They're probably going to have to be a bit more aggressive at home in a game they've got to win. But they might use it to start with to keep us in our box, as it were.
Okay. I suppose
Bournemouth might come and do that. To be honest, it's they've got the players, that they've got the front line. They caused us problems in the game down there in January, didn't they? They forced a back pass out of Gabriel to set up a goal we shouldn't have given away. I think they do like to press high. So yeah, no, I can't see why City wouldn't try and do the same tactic. It works. It's worked once. Why not do it again? Especially again once you've got 95% of the crowd behind you. So it's
yeah.
I think also you've got to. I mean, as well as will other teams try the same tactic against us? Now that it's been tried against us, you can be damn sure that Arteta and his coaches are working out ways with the team to deal with it.
Well, yeah. That's what they get paid for. Tony?
Well, no, I was going to say that the corollary of saying City have got to win in that game is that we don't have to. Could turn out to be a pretty dull affair. But we did want to win, presumably, last Sunday. We don't have to win up in Manchester. A draw suits us perfectly.
I mean, theoretically, if they do play the same way, then our back four can just pass the ball amongst themselves for 90 minutes.
Yes.
Actually, it brings to mind now.
That win us a few friends.
More friends? Surely we've got enough in the game already.
The 2005 FA Cup final. Now, that was an example of a better team failing to win the match simply because we didn't concede. And we had decent players on the pitch, but positionally we were a bit short on the forward side, and I have a feeling that that game sort of determined the future of Arsenal under Arsene, because he absolutely loathed the way we actually won that final, as opposed to fans who absolutely loved it. But we never saw that sort of performance from Arsenal again afterwards, from memory anyway. But Arteta's already a bit George Graham anyway, so we'll see how that develops. Let's have a look. So yes, I'm going to move on now to the next game, which is the FA Cup quarter-final at Southampton. Now, Southampton, I believe, were in the Premier League last season. Were they relegated last season? Yeah. So, you know, they're not a lower division team like a Port Vale or a Mansfield. So, I mean, it's pretty likely Arteta will name a typical domestic cup team with a number of the players who don't normally start in the Premier League. So it's going to be a weakened team. Should we be worried, or should we even care about what happens at Southampton? I'm going to go to you, Tony, as you're laughing.
Oh, we must, for the sake of us fans, we must care, mustn't we? It's an opportunity. It always is, isn't it? When you're given a chance to play and you don't normally play, to show the manager that he should always play you. But yes, there is always that business of 11 players who haven't actually worked as a team before. Kepa will be in goal, will he?
Yeah, I think so.
Most certainly. So there's a chance for him to redeem himself as well. Let's hope he's been practicing. But yes, it isn't a straightforward game. Obviously, Southampton will expect to do well, but we ought to be able to beat them, oughtn't we?
Well, we ought to. Martin, are you worried?
I'm not worried, but I'm expecting a tough night. It's going to be under the floodlights. You know, there's going to be one game away from Wembley for Southampton and Cup glory, etc., etc. You know, multiple references to 1976, etc., etc.
They're wearing their yellow kit, I've heard, from 70.
Yeah.
So, probably will Mick Shannon on, won't they?
Yeah. They're in good form. They are the form team of the Championship. You know, if they carry on playing like they have been, they'll get in the playoffs and they could perfectly well win that. So, yeah, I think we're in for a tough night. Yeah, no doubt about it.
They haven't lost.
I don't worry. I mean, I didn't worry about City, to be honest. I thought we were going to beat City, so which is part of the shock, really, that we played so badly. And also, we're going to have the international break hangover, of course. We don't know who's fit. We don't know who's coming back. You know, it could be a mix and match of the team, and anything could happen on the night, really. Will there be VAR, do we know? Is that introduced now? I think it is now, isn't it?
It was apparently introduced in the last round, which I find bizarre. I just don't personally. I don't understand how you can start a competition without it, and then later in the competition introduce it. It makes no sense to me. But I mean, I personally, I'd do away with VAR completely. But that's a different subject entirely.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. So you definitely it's the point. But there we go.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a tough game. You know, it's not one of our favourite grounds. It has to be said. We've had some poor results there over recent years. They haven't actually lost since 17th of January. I've just looked it up, and there's been quite a lot of games since then. I think they may only have drawn 2 since then as well. So they've been winning games left, right, and centre. As Martin said, they are the form team in the Championship. They're at home. The crowd will be up for it. It's under floodlights, as you say. The memories of '76 will be looming large. Our players are going to have to stand strong. It's not going to be an easy game. And yes, Tony's right. We absolutely should care. I cared about the City game and the League Cup final, and I care very much about progressing in the FA Cup. To be honest, when you get this far in a competition, in a way, it's harder to get knocked out at this stage than it is in the third round. You can shrug off a third round exit. They happen, but now, Wembley's within reach. Yes, it's a couple of additional games, but it is only a couple of additional games if we get to the final from here. And if playing at Wembley in the semi-final and the final doesn't motivate players, I'm not quite sure what will. So I think we want to win it for all sorts of reasons, not least because winning becomes a habit. and crucially, so does losing. We don't want to lose two big cup games on the trot.
Yeah, with you there. But it's interesting that if we do make the semi-final, the Newcastle home match will be moved to a midweek, and should we make the final, the Burnley home match will be moved to midweek. And I'm thinking back to 2002. When we had the FA Cup final at the weekend, we went on the league in our next midweek game, which was at Old Trafford. And then we had the final game of the season, which I think was home to Everton, I think, from memory. Yes, I think it was. So it would be nice if we saw that again. Yeah, I mean, we don't want to dream too much, but in theory, if Arsenal were to win the league, and if they were to do it before Palace away, you'd have to assume it would be a trophy presentation at that Burnley game. So that could be very interesting if it is rescheduled. And I'm sure the TV will put it on after the FA Cup final rather than before.
The FA Cup final, I think, is at 5:30, isn't it?
Is it?
I think so. It's 5. I don't think it's at 3 o'clock.
Right. Well,
but I don't know. I don't know for sure. But can I just say, given the name of this podcast, I think I'm entitled to complain and moan about the fact that the FA Cup final has been completely devalued by bringing it into the penultimate Premier League weekend, the weekend on which there's a full round of Premier League fixtures. It's an absolute nonsense. It really is.
It should stand on its own.
Of course it should. It should be the last game of the domestic season, and it should stand alone, unimpaired. And while we're at it, the television coverage should start at 7 o'clock in the morning. there should be an It's a Knockout, a journey to the ground on the coach, and all that.
Oh God, the good old days. Yes.
We talked about this the last time I was on the podcast, way back 1953, isn't it, that Arsenal had the last game to win the league then, and that was on the night before the FA Cup final,
which Arsenal obviously were not in.
No, that's right. It was Burnley again, Arsenal and Burnley.
Having said that, they used to play.
It had to be played before the FA Cup.
Oh,
final.
That was the rule, right? Okay,
quite right too. It's at 4:30. The cup final. I've just looked it up. It's at 4.
Trying to find it. Yeah.
Travelling fans were complaining about that last season, weren't they?
It's
what
ridiculous.
time are they supposed? There won't be a train to get them home.
If it goes to extra time and penalties, God forbid. I mean, if we're involved, it's not going to finish till 7:30, is it, on a Saturday night? And you've got to get out of Wembley, get up, get back to whatever train station you travel from, depending on who we're playing or who's playing in it.
Bad enough getting back to Bethnal Green after Wembley. Bloody hell.
If we manage to win, I don't think anyone will be leaving at 7:30, frankly. If it was extra time penalties, we'd be out there about 8 o'clock with all the celebrations. But a price.
We might actually even be allowed to celebrate that without being criticised by the celebration police for celebrating too hard.
So no comment required on that one. So yes, that's that. Now, I mean, these injuries, I've actually lost track. I'll be brutally honest with you. I know Mourinho's out, okay? I know he's definitely out. And I think we can say Madueke is almost certainly out because of the nature of the implement he was wearing on his leg where he was leaving Wembley.
Jose is definitely out.
Eze is definitely out, of course. He's for a bit longer. Ødegaard was from his duty. So there is a slim possibility he might be fit. Do we think Rice and Saka were rested, or were they genuinely assessed and decided that they were not actually fit to play?
I think it's probably halfway between the two.
Yeah, I would like to think that Tuchel was sensible enough to realise. I mean, because of City haven't played their game in hand, we have played the most fixtures now, haven't we? We played one more than City.
Yeah.
So I'd like to think that it was just common sense, because those two international friendlies that have just taken place are absolute waste of time and energy for everybody involved. They have to do it to make some money and all the rest of it. But as in terms of what he's going to learn from anything, so I'd like to think he's been sensible. There was no signs. I mean, Saka has not looked fit for weeks, as far as I can see. He's played so much football in the last 3 or 4 years. It looks like it's caught up on him. God forbid, he plays all the games in the World Cup and he's stuck over in America for 2 months. God knows what he's going to come back like from that. But so let's just hope it was a very sensible, precautionary thing, and that the rest would have done them both the world power of good. So.
What's the story?
Rice looks dead on his feet as well. I mean, he has done for a few weeks, but he's always got that slightly sort of knackered look about him anyway. But
yeah,
he's not 100%. I don't think it's an injury as such necessarily, but he's not 100%.
Yeah, Tuchel is protecting players he will want to use in the summer.
Absolutely. I mean, to be honest, he's struck me as dealing with quite a lot of things very sensibly. Yeah. I thought he spoke well about Ben White as well. I think he's doing his best to kind of manage the resources that are available without upsetting players and managers he needs help from.
Okay. What's the story of Zubimendi? Because was he withdrawn with injury from Spain? Or have I misheard that? I'm not sure.
Yeah, he did. He was sent back to Arsenal for tests or whatever they call it. Yeah, for assessment, I think it was, wasn't it? Yeah, that's the word they use.
All right. Well, I mean, Hincapié definitely injured by the looks of things, so he might not be available. I'm sure Calafiori hopefully will recover from his 2 hours with Italy. But let's just hope in theory, we could obviously play Lewis Skelly at left back at Southampton. And in a way, it'd be disappointing that Lewis Skelly isn't playing in midfield in that game, because I think the one thing we have not looked at this season properly is the option of Lewis Skelly playing in his natural position as an option, which...
he was going to against Wigan until, was it Calafiori pulled out in the warm-up?
Yeah,
So he had to move back. Yeah, and then he was suspended for the Mansfield game.
Yeah, it looked like he had a very good game for England the other night, didn't it? So
the under-21s.
Under-21s, yeah.
Oh, right, okay. Well, I didn't even realise.
He set up 2 goals for Waneri.
He'll get a run out. He'll get a run out on Saturday for sure, won't he?
Oh, yeah. But, just which position?
That will probably be at left back, I'd have thought.
Yeah.
I can't imagine Calafiori's going to play and Hincapié's seemingly injured.
Yeah, that would make sense. It probably will be left back. So we shall see who else you can.
And then, of course, we've got Lisbon to fit in as to get through 90 minutes more football before we get back to what I regard as the most serious business of the season, which is the league match against Bournemouth.
Yes, so basically, before we visit Man City, we have Southampton in the Cup, the away at Sporting, home at Bournemouth, and then home to Sporting. So it's quite the games that will come thick fast.
And all of them demanding.
Sorry, Tony. What are you saying?
All of those games demanding as well.
Well, Southampton a little less so, we'd like to think, but of course we've discussed that. Go on.
I was just going to say, in terms of motivation, we beat Southampton. We're in the semi-finals. With a bit of luck, we get Wigan in the semi-final. We beat Lisbon.
Paul Vale.
Paul Vale. I meant Paul Vale. Sorry. But we beat Lisbon. We're in the semi-finals of that. But here's the thing as well. We've got, I think, was it 7 league games left? But if we win our next 2, we've pretty much done it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. If we beat Man City, I think that's
exactly. So from yes, we've got these big games in quick succession, but the prize at the end of this run of 5 games, if we were to, and we don't actually need to win all 5 games because one of the Lisbon games, we can hopefully have won the other game sufficiently that we might be able to draw or even, lose by the odd goal. But at the end of that 5 games, we could be in 2 semi-finals and with 8 out of 10 fingers on the Premier League trophy. So the prize is huge out of these games.
Yeah, it's a very exciting fortnight, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, and potentially stressful as well. But I mean,
no.
Is there any danger? It's the stress we want, of course. Is there any danger that we might be a little bit complacent, given that we had such a good result in Lisbon against Sporting last season, when Gyökeres, fun enough, was up front for them? I mean, my question is, are Lisbon a better team this season? I mean, I'm guessing we don't really have an expert opinion on that, but Champions League is a funny tournament. I remember in 2001, we were against Valencia in the quarter-final, and before either leg had been played, people were making their plans to get to the final.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always work out. So
who's that big Scandinavian who knocked us out? What was his name?
John Carew.
John Carew.
Carew, that's right. Yeah. God.
It was a harsh night in Valencia.
Terrible night that was, wasn't it?
Indeed. Having said that, they had Las Fallas Festival on when they were playing that game, and that was an experience to remember, I have to say. So it was mixed emotions, that trip. But yes, so we should beat Sporting. I mean, that's the reality. And ultimately, when it comes to cup football, if you can get your defence sorted, it's very difficult to get eliminated as long as you can take a decent penalty. So the problem, obviously, against Man City was we didn't get the defence sorted, and that's partly because we were playing a keeper that wasn't as good as it could have been, and also because we had the early booking. And in fairness, we're playing against a pretty decent forward line, even though they have had their critics this season, Man City. They are good players, let's be honest with you.
Oh, God, yeah.
I mean, I don't want to rehash the City debate, but the other thing that stood out for me about the City game was that, Haaland was anonymous.
Saliba.
And 6 months ago, if playing City, if you silenced Haaland, you had a very good chance of winning the match or getting something out of it. He did nothing for 9. We had one header, didn't he?
That one half chance, didn't he, just before half time? But that was it.
Yeah. Other than that, he was completely in Saliba's pocket. So,
that does augur well, and it augurs well for our defending in these cup matches, because it is about survival.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think also Europe's different. I think Lisbon, are they going to?
Well, they're going to try and win the game at home.
We found it easier to play in Europe this season because teams haven't gone out to stifle us in the way that domestic teams have. And I suspect, in a way, I think Lisbon being a decent team will potentially play to our advantage because they'll have a degree of confidence and they'll take us on. And look, we've seen what we've done in Europe this year. Some of the performances have been superb against good teams. The performance in Milan was outstanding. Leverkusen was interesting because actually they were probably the first team who did try a little bit of the low block, as people like to call it, and try and stifle us a bit. And it was quite effective in their home leg. But as in over 2 legs, European teams don't want to play us because our defence is so good.
They will be very up for it, given how they won the last round. Turn around a 3-0 away leg like they did. And the atmosphere looked absolutely electric that night, what I saw from it. So
I was gutted because I was looking forward to a trip to the Arctic Circle.
Have you seen the price?
I don't think the players were.
Well, here's the thing, guys. I booked before the first leg of Bodo Sporting, a cheapie to Lisbon on the Tuesday morning, taking a punt. Okay, I didn't return. I just brought a single to get out there. And so after the first game, I thought, But when I thought, well, Sporting just have to score once before half-time, get a second before the hour, and it could open up completely. And that's what happened. So, you can never say in these European games. It's weird.
Would you have money on it? It could have paid for your trip to Lisbon.
Yeah, well, I could have done that, but I was just hoping my flight wouldn't be wasted.
The other interesting dynamic, of course, will be Gyökeres, because he'll be riding very high after the week he's had.
Oh, yes, he did quite well for Sweden, didn't he? They qualified.
Yeah, he scored a hat-trick in the first one and got the winner in the last minute in the second one. So,
Didn't you get the whole crowd to do his celebration as well for a selfie?
Yeah, he was loving every minute of it. Yeah. So
there we are.
And good for him. Good for him. I'm really chuffed for him.
He knows the angles at that stadium, so it's
fair
so
point.
Get some service.
Another.
Yeah. Well, yes.
Well, yeah. That's another discussion, isn't it? I mean, let's talk about the attack now. Possibly a bit thin on options in terms of form, shall we say. Do we think... Now, I'm sure Max Dowman will get a start at Southampton. Do you think Arteta will, in a meaningful Premier League match before the season's out, give Max a start? Or do you think he's going to consider that actually a bit too risky?
I think he'll only do it if he has to. By which I mean that he's run out of options. I think he'll happily bring him on as a sub. I think he'll feel that it's putting too much pressure on him at his age to start him in a Premier League match at this stage. But I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, he's good enough, isn't he? I mean, he's absolutely good enough to play. What I think you have to avoid doing is overplaying him. But again, here or there.
But what did he add?
My guess is he won't. My guess is he'll only play him if he has to. But
what did he add against Everton that couldn't come from the other players?
Fearlessness, absolute fearlessness. I mean, look, they're all good players. They're all extremely skillful players. Martinelli, I just don't know. He has moments where he looks like the player of old, but more often than not, his decision making just hasn't been at the right level. Whether that's the fear of making a mistake, getting it wrong, I don't know. Trossard's a different option. Appreciate they're on the other side generally. Saka, obviously, when he's on song, is he's our star. But he hasn't been on song. And there's something about Dowman's joie de vivre. When he comes on the pitch, he just wants to make things happen, and he's good enough to make things happen. And he lifts the crowd as well. That was another big factor against Everton. I think a huge factor. I think you felt the whole stadium lift when he came on, which is ridiculous. I mean, he's a 16-year-old who's, played 5 minutes of football for us. But he did. He lifted the whole ground.
Yeah, I don't think he'll start matches because I think he's good to bring on against tired defences at the age he is. I think if he starts a game, he's going to be playing a totally different type of defender. I can't remember if Everton had taken anybody off in defence, but the game was beginning to get a bit ragged, wasn't it? I think by that stage. And I think it would eke of desperation a bit if we did starting in games which were championship deciders.
I think you're right, Martin. I don't think he would. And it's part, as far as Arteta's track record goes, then he's not likely to start him. He is cautious. You were saying, what did he do? Again, I wasn't there, but it was that little way that he took the ball to remove the Everton defender from the picture. And then he could have passed it to Martinelli, didn't he? But he didn't. He took it on himself. And that sort of thing is going to lift the crowd. And it just shows what a good player he is.
Yeah.
He was far and away our best player at Mansfield.
Yeah.
But on a very difficult pitch.
I was very sorry that he didn't score a goal.
Oh, he deserved it, didn't he?
About 3 chances, didn't he? But he couldn't make any of them count.
Yeah. I mean, I do think the reason he wouldn't start is because of the defensive side of what is required from Arteta's wide players, and that's physical as much as anything.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
He doesn't have the build yet to do it. I mean, Martinelli, in fairness to him, is a brute in defence, and Saka will certainly do the work as well, and Trossard.
Yeah.
So, and it's fun enough. It's part of the reason Eze was frozen out, because he wouldn't do that, you know. So,
although curiously, Eze was seemingly frozen out because he left Cash unmarked, so we'll let Cash sort of run off him at Villa. Of course, Saka did exactly the same
in the final.
Yeah.
It's they're all human at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
You know.
I mean, again, talking of young players, you have to hand it to O'Reilly. Those were 2 very well taken goals, especially the second.
An obvious tactic because of his height, and fair play again to Guardiola for basically coming up with that plan, because obviously told to do it. And we were all obsessed about Haaland, but there is another tall guy in the middle who basically
read the moment perfectly, and you have to do that, don't you, to score goals? You have to gamble on being in the right place, and he gambled and he won.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but I think Darman's a great prospect.
Oh yeah, we all can see that. So it's just hoping that he doesn't become a Jack Wilshere and gets overplayed and injured, and
Theo Walcott.
Theo was
take us back to League Cup finals.
Okay.
Wilshere was slightly different though, wasn't he? I mean, Wilshere, he was a victim of the way he played, because he had this way of holding on to the ball until the challenge had been made and then releasing it before the challenge landed. Yeah. So he was inviting the fouls almost every time he had the ball.
Yes.
I think Darman's a very different type of footballer to Jack, albeit that Jack was phenomenally talented.
It might be sacrilegious to say, but there were elements of Gaza in Jack Wilshere's style.
Yeah.
In that, he wanted the ball so badly that he would get injured trying to win it. And
is that right, that he's running into problems at Luton because he's trying to get the players to keep the ball on the ground there?
Well, I've not been following it closely.
He was doing quite well. I don't know what their recent results.
He started quite well, didn't he? Yeah.
I think there's a coach in there somewhere. So let's hope. Okay, well, considering we had one game to discuss, we've done quite well to make this last for 56 minutes. But to finish, I'm going to do something a bit different. And I'm looking ahead to the summer here, guys. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go round in the same sequence each time. And it will be Martin first, Tony, and then Charlie. And I just want one word. And the word will be keep or sell. You've got to make a decision. So I'm going to go through the squad, and some of them will be bloody obvious. You were going to keep them. But just for the sake of completion, I will go through the entire first team squad. And you're just going to say keep or sell in terms of what you would do this summer, with the fact in mind that Arsenal will be seeking to strengthen their squad. And so much as it might be wonderful this season, could it be better next season by making certain decisions about certain players? So I'm going to start with an easy one. And as I say, it's Martin, Tony, Charlie, one word each. And we're going to start with David. Raya, off you go.
Keep.
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 Kepa.
Keep.
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 Timber.
Keep.
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 Ben White.
Sell.
Keep.
Keep.
Mosquera.
Keep.
Sell.
Keep.
Saliba.
Keep.
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 Gabriel.
Keep.
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 Hincapié.
Keep.
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 Calafiori.
Sell.
Yes. Keep.
Keep.
Lewis Skelly.
Keep.
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 Norgard.
Sell.
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 Subamendi.
Keep.
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 Rice.
Keep.
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 Eze.
Keep.
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 Ødegaard.
Keep.
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 Havertz.
Sell.
Sell.
Keep.
Madueke.
Keep.
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 Saka.
Keep.
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 Gabriel Jesus.
Sell.
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 Victor Gyökeres.
Keep.
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 Martinelli.
Sell.
Keep.
Keep.
Trossard.
Sell.
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 And I'm not going to do Max Dowman because I think we're all once. I think I've run out. Is there anyone I've missed? Just
Nwaneri.
good one. Nwaneri.
Yeah. On loan. Yeah.
Martin.
Keep.
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 We're keeping Nwaneri. Okay. All right, gentlemen. That was a good way to conclude the hour. And congratulations to get so much out of one match, which was a defeat. So sincere thanks to everybody. We will be back in 2 weeks' time with a podcast, which will be the one before the visit to Manchester City at the Etihad. And we'll have these 4 matches to discuss, which we've covered this evening. So thank you all for listening. And I will see you in 2 weeks' time. And many thanks to my 3 guests, Charlie, Tony, and Martin.